After attaining enlightenment, the Buddha first taught the Four Noble Truths: suffering, its cause, its cessation, and the path leading to its cessation. Suffering is the reality of life. The cause refers to the roots of suffering. Cessation means the ending of suffering. And the path is the way toward that liberation. Our world, in its essence, is impermanent. Everything, relationships, emotions, the body, even our thoughts, is formed by the temporary coming together of many causes and conditions. When those conditions change, the result also changes. Because everything is in constant flux, our minds often feel restless and insecure. This is what the Buddha called suffering. But suffering is not a punishment from the outside world. It arises because of attachment. We cling to things that are impermanent and wish they could last forever. We believe there is a solid, unchanging self. We insist that everything should go the way I think is right. Yet the world does not move according to our wishes. When we hold tightly to things that are bound to change, conflict and pain naturally arise. Once we realize that both the self and all phenomena are not permanent or independently existing realities, but only temporary gatherings of causes and conditions, the mind begins to loosen its grip. When attachment subsides, the root of suffering is cut off. The mind becomes calm and at peace. This is what the Buddha called cessation, the ending of suffering. The cessation of suffering does not mean that there will never again be pain in the world. Causes and conditions will still arise, but when the mind is free from attachment, suffering loses its power to wound us. The external world may still change, yet the heart remains at ease. All attachments can be broadly divided into two kinds: attachment to self and attachment to dharmas, that is, to views, methods, or things. Attachment to self is the belief that there is a real and permanent I that owns, controls, and experiences everything. The Buddha taught that this view is mistaken. Why? Because if something were truly real and eternal, it could not change. Yet when we observe carefully, we see that our bodies are constantly changing, from birth to growth to aging, and finally to death. Science also tells us that our cells renew themselves every day. Our feelings and thoughts change even faster, now joyful, then sad, arising and vanishing moment by moment. Since both body and mind are in constant motion, they cannot be unchanging. What we call I is merely the temporary combination of body, sensations, thoughts, and perceptions, a process, not a fixed entity. Still, we stubbornly believe in a separate self that controls and possesses, and this belief is the source of endless suffering. The Buddha once used the parable of two arrows to explain this point. He asked his disciples, "If a man is struck by an arrow, what happens?" A disciple replied, "He feels pain." The Buddha continued, "And if he is struck by a second arrow in the same place?" The disciple said, "Then the pain is much worse." The Buddha explained, "An ordinary person, when hit by the first arrow, the pain of the body, also shoots himself with a second arrow, the thought, 'Why me? I don't deserve this.' The wise person who understands non-self still feels the first arrow, but no longer adds the second. Physical pain may be unavoidable, but the thought, 'I am hurt,' intensifies it. When the illusion of self fades, the second arrow never strikes, and suffering does not multiply." In another story, someone asked the Buddha's disciple Ananda, "If there is no self, then who practices? Who attains liberation?" Ananda pointed to a chariot and said, "Where is the chariot? In the wheels? In the axle? In the seat?" When these parts are taken apart, the word chariot no longer applies. It is only a convenient name for a collection of parts. In the same way, what we call a person is just the temporary union of the five aggregates: form, feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness. Apart from these, no separate self can be found. When we truly see this and no longer cling to the illusion of I, suffering has nowhere to dwell, and peace naturally arises. Attachment to dharmas means clinging to ideas, principles, or methods, taking them to be absolutely true and unchangeable. We often think we are right and hold tightly to that view. Even if our reasoning is sound, we must understand that it is only conditionally right. When conditions change, truth may appear differently. Yet people forget this, insisting that others must agree and act as they do. When others don't, anger and disappointment arise. This is attachment to Dharma. The Buddha once said, "The Dharma is like a raft used to cross a river. One must use it to reach the other shore. But once across, carrying it on the back would only be a burden." All methods of practice, morality, concentration, wisdom, mindfulness, and insight, are rafts that help us cross the river of affliction. But if we cling to "this method is best," or "my understanding is superior," we become bound again, this time by the very raft that once helped us. A monk once asked the Buddha, "If we must abandon all attachments, should we also abandon compassion?" The Buddha smiled and said, "Imagine a mother crossing a river with her child. When the current is strong, she must hold the child tightly, or both will drown. But once safely on the shore, if she never lets go, the child will never learn to walk. It is the same with practice. In crossing, hold firmly. Once across, let go. Without release, there can be no freedom." Thus, the Dharma is a bridge, compassion a boat. We hold them when needed, and release them when the time comes. True wisdom is knowing when to let go, while keeping the heart gentle and clear. Greed, anger, and ignorance are the concrete expressions of attachment. The Buddha said, "Beings are burned by the fire of greed, the fire of hatred, and the fire of delusion. All six senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, are aflame." A disciple asked, "What then is nirvana?" The Buddha replied, "Nirvana is extinction. When the fire is quenched, it goes nowhere. It simply ceases. When greed, anger, and delusion cease, the mind becomes cool and serene. Nirvana is not escape from the world. It is the coolness that comes when the inner fire has gone out. The world may still burn, but your heart no longer does." Suffering in this world does not truly come from events themselves, but from our grasping at self and things. When both the one who grasps and the object of grasping are seen through, the fire of attachment naturally dies down and the mind becomes calm. The emptiness of self and the emptiness of dharmas are not nihilism. They reveal that all phenomena lack independent essence and arise only through interdependent conditions. When we deeply realize this truth, we naturally let go, naturally grow peaceful, and the mind abides in coolness and freedom.